have no idea, honestly, who would have done it. I may have made an online purchase somewhere on some slightly scammy website, and that's probably how my information was stolen.
The real question would be, which I wasn't able to find out, who picked up that food? Was that food even picked up? Or was it just, a no-show?
But it ended up being a really modelish looking girl. She was blonde, really pretty. She had shopping bags in her hands, and she had actually asked the cashier if she could use this card because she wasn't sure if there was money on it or not. And we had all of that on tape, and I was like, this girl's crazy.
I think when some people think about cyber, the big broad world of cyber, they think of a couple different things. They think of the cyber criminals and they think of the cyber hackers. And those two things aren't mutually inclusive. Can you tell me a little bit about the difference between a hacker and a cyber criminal?
What we call them in the, industry would be like white hat versus red hat, or black hat, I should say. Okay. So really that's just the persona that they are, that they're being, so they can be like a protagonist or an antagonist. With a white hat hacker, they're usually hired by other companies to basically find security holes. They'll let them know about them. They will show them how exploits work, and in return, they get money, for finding exploits, or they get paid on a contract basis to secure a network. That's how they make their living, right? And then you have a black hat hacker, which would find these exploits, and they will use them maliciously to gain access or to gain information.
The majority of hackers out there in the world are actually here to help people. I myself I'm a hacker. I'm somebody who is able to actually use my skills to gain access to systems. But those people like me, most of us are here to help companies and do the right thing and do ethical hacking, so that we're able to show companies where the weaknesses are so they can better protect themselves. I think what we need to really get into is those who are using it for criminal activities are really cyber criminals. So we need to get into a more consistent terminology and discussion that we should be talking about those who are committing crimes. Therefore, that's what we should put it into. And we also have this kind of incorrect kind of assumption of what hackers look like. Hollywood and the media has put it into that we all wear hoodies, that they're kiddies, working from their parents' basements. In fact, most hackers are people like myself. People who have daytime jobs, people who spend their activities in the evening looking for ways to, gain access to applications which typically would not be possible.
Yeah, so the cyber criminal operations, there's really a whole ecosystem out there. It is highly, highly organized, literally business structure organized. So you definitely have folks that have, knocked over the payment processor, knocked over the company, gotten in and hacked the company, right? Data breach, exfiltrated that information, and now they have 100 credit cards, 100,000 credit cards, 100 million credit cards, and now they need to monetize that. At the end of the day, these types of breaches that we're talking about and this type of fraud that we're talking about is about one thing, it's about one thing and one thing only. It's about money back to them, money back to their wallets, and they'll do it via many different ways, but it's all about a financial motivation there.
One of the things that I've found, at least some of the research I've done, is that the best way for cyber criminals is actually to make money in a so-called legal way, which sounds a bit ironic, but when you think about it, that when you actually, let's say hack into an organization and you find out that their financial results is going to be positive next quarter, or they're going to do an acquisition, getting in that insider financial details about the upcoming success of the company. So rather than actually trying to do fraudulent activity within, what simply cyber criminals will do is invest in the stock market before those results are made public. So simply doing digital insider trading, and it's much more difficult to trace back. The other way that cyber criminals will make money from is, of course, selling it to other cyber criminals. As I mentioned, if I create a cyber weapon or cyber tool, then basically simply selling it off to somebody who bids for it, like a 0 day. If I find a 0 day, those become very valuable on the dark web, and therefore selling it for profit. Of course, you're going to have less ability of being found because, of course, you're not the one. Nothing traces back to you of being the one that uses it. And then what happens is those cyber criminals who typically will use it from, let's say, either creating those accounts with loans or the money, rather than using it themselves, what they end up doing is they'll get individuals who are higher risk and more interested in making short-term money than long-term money. and therefore they'll have them go and extract the money directly.
So those are then doled out from those operators into the actual mule ecosystem. So literally, if I was a mule, I would receive 1,000 card numbers, 1,000 cards, get them encoded, and then my job is to go ahead and go to as many ATMs as possible and take out as much money as possible, go buy as many things online as I can, spreading around the wealth between an Apple Store, a Best Buy, a Target, or wherever, and have those items then shipped off to my shippers or my stuffers. It might be to an aggregate person. When you exit the highway ramp and you see the sign, hey, earn, whatever it is, $50,000 working from home, those are mostly scams. 90% of the time, all scams. Those are people that are looking for innocent people who have banking profiles that are real, not flagged for anti-money laundering, not flagged for fraud, and they basically get embroiled in this as to hey, boxes are going to come to you. It's going to come from address A. We need you to just put on a UPS tag or whatever and ship to address B. Every single box, you get $50, $75, or some percentage thereof. And those items are then pushed back out to foreign countries where they're once again sold and money comes in. And every step of the way, someone is making money and a percentage in profit, and it flows right back up.
So what you're doing is you think that you're innocently earning a little extra spending cash, but actually you're helping to perpetuate this entire fraud ecosystem by taking the goods that were illicitly obtained and sending them off to whoever's trying to perpetuate the fraud.
So there are two different types of roles usually that mules are playing. This kind of stuffing, either aggregating, stuffing the different different orders that have come in, or reshipping them. The reshipping we see a lot more, whereas something comes in, slap a label on it, send it back out, and it's literally $50 per box. So that's really the mule typology 1. Mule typology 2 is a little more dangerous. It's where they say, look, we're doing the same thing. We just need a valid bank account because, I'm from this country and it's hard for me to do things. And so what we're going to do is, you just verify. We send in $5,000. You wait for it to clear. You take out $100 or you take out $500 and then you send on the other $4,500 to this address. And you actually legitimate. This isn't a Nigerian scam where they send you the money, but it isn't really actually there because of the 72 hours that it takes to clear an ACH, and the money isn't there and you've been defrauded. They actually are using your name, your good address, your profile, and your bank account in good standing as a way to be a mule of shipping money to others, right? And it goes from ACH account 1 to ACH account 2 to 3 to 4, eventually over. Everyone takes a little bit of cut of the money. And this is being done by a large number of people, very, very smart people, retirees, college students. We see this a lot. But that is in that process. That whole stuffing, shipping mule is a critically important part of the whole cybercrime ecosystem. Now, a lot of it is done innocently, right? Should have known better, but didn't.
What does the global economy look like for information? Is there a going rate for a credit card number, for a social security number?
The marketplace, credit cards themselves with, accounts, let's say with $2,000, dollar limit or even a 10K limit, those are going for, less than $5 or, $3 on the, was it darknet. So the value of them have significantly declined. And a lot of that's because the detection rate has increased. So that what happens is it's less likely that the cybercriminals they'll sell it onwards to other people who are willing to take the risk, but they won't typically take the risk with that themselves. What's higher value is things like medical records or identities, depending on the person's identity and the level of potential privileges that they may have. They can go between 50, even upwards to 1,000 for an identity. So that's where really identities are becoming the prime kind of selling place, as well as healthcare records, which potentially get you access to prescription drugs, so that you're going to go and get either healthcare or medical or insurance at better rates. So those identities, what's kind of driving certain markets. So identities are right now the kind of highest primed asset or resource been traded on the darknet.
Is there anything else that people should just be aware of when it comes to their financial information and their financial data?
only use a debit card at a location that you know is secure. And you say, well, I have no idea what that means.
This is not just, little people like us. Like, government officials got hacked in the same exact manner. It's called spear phishing.
If, for example, all of a sudden you couldn't get insurance until you change your PIN number, then people would actually change their PIN number